This one little piece of paper throws every single lie. This is so big because literally this has been 13 years. They ruined a kid's life. They painted them as some big monster when in reality they were the ones.
Right, before we dive into this absolute madness of a case, I need to sit you down for this one. What I'm about to tell you, it involves a Ukrainian orphan, adopted parents who claimed she was actually a murderous adult, and court documents that literally changed someone's age by 14 years. Oh yeah, and DNA evidence that's blown this whole case wide open. Here's the kicker that will make your head spin. This case has eerie similarities to the 2009 horror film Orphan, except this time the real monster might not be who you think it is. By the end of this video, you'll question everything you thought you knew about family, identity, and how far people will go to cover up their crimes. If this case doesn't make you question the entire adoption system, nothing will. Guys, hit that subscribe button now, because we're about to unpack one of the most disturbing family sagas in recent memory, and trust me, you'll want to stick around for the DNA bombshell that changes everything. This is a story of Natalia Grace, a Ukrainian orphan with dwarfism who was either a vulnerable child abandoned by her adoptive family or a dangerous adult con artist who fooled an entire system. The truth? Well, that's what we're here to find out. Drop an emoji in the comments if you've heard this story before, but I guarantee you haven't heard the full story. And if you're new to this madness, buckle up, we're going in deep. Our story begins in Ukraine, where a little girl named Natalia was born in 2003. Or was she? She has spondyloepilepsia dysplasia, a rare form of dwarfism that affects bone growth. This isn't just a height thing, we're talking about a serious genetic condition that impacts multiple body systems. Now, here's where things get interesting. Natalia's original birth certificate was allegedly destroyed in a sewer incident at the Ukrainian hospital. Convenient, right? This missing documentation will become absolutely crucial to everything that follows. In 2008, Natalia was first adopted by a New Hampshire couple, but that placement failed. She was then relisted for adoption in 2010. Think about that for a second. This child had already experienced abandonment and rejection before she even made it to the family that would make her a household name. Enter Michael and Christine Barnett of Indiana. In April 2010, they adopted what they believe was a 6-year-old Ukrainian orphan. Michael was a successful IT specialist. Christine was a mother of 3 biological sons. They seemed like the perfect family to give Natalia a loving home. Spoiler alert, they absolutely were not. For the first couple of years, things seemed relatively normal. Natalia was enrolled in school, she was receiving therapy for her condition, and the Barnetts, well, they were telling everyone what wonderful parents they were for taking in a special needs child. But according to the Barnetts, Natalia started displaying what they called disturbing behaviour. They claimed she threatened their biological children, tried to poison Christine's coffee, and even attempted to push Christine into an electric fence. They also alleged she was putting thumbtacks on stairs and showing signs of adult sexual knowledge. Now, if you're thinking this sounds familiar, you're absolutely right. If you've seen the 2009 horror film Orphan, these allegations are almost beat for beat identical to the movie's plot. Coincidence? I think not, and neither do a lot of experts who've studied this case. But here's what the Barnetts claim was the smoking gun. They said medical professionals told them Natalia wasn't actually a child at all, but an adult woman with dwarfism who'd been posing as a 6-year-old to get adopted. Think about the implications of that accusation. If true, it would mean Natalia had fooled not just the Barnetts, full of Ukrainian officials, adoption agencies and medical professionals, and basically the entire US immigration system. That's some next level con artistry right there. In 2012, just 2 years after adopting Natalia, the Barnetts did something absolutely unprecedented. They petitioned Marion County Probate Court in Indiana to legally change Natalia's age. Not her name, not her custody arrangement, but her actual birth year. They successfully convinced Judge Gerald S. Saul to change Natalia's birth year from 2003 to 1989. Let that sink in. Guys, let that sink in. With the stroke of a pen, 8-year-old Natalia Grace legally became 22-year-old Natalia Grace. I've covered a lot of legalry-fuckery on this channel, but this takes the absolute biscuit. How do you even make that argument in court? Your Honour, would like to add 14 years to our daughter's age because we think she's been lying about being a child. It sounds absolutely mental when you say it out loud, doesn't it? But here's the truly disturbing part. With Natalia now legally an adult, the Barnetts had effectively freed themselves from any parental responsibilities. No more school enrolment, no more medical care requirements, no more legal obligations to house and feed her. In 2013, with Natalia now legally 22 years old, the Barnetts made a decision that would define this entire case. They rented a small apartment in Westfield, Indiana, moved Natalia in, and then they left. Not just for a weekend, they moved to Canada with their 3 biological sons and just left Natalia completely alone. Picture this, a person with severe dwarfism who is either a 9-year-old girl or 22, depending on which documents you believe, left alone in an apartment with no family support, limited financial resources and significant physical limitations. Whether Natalia was a child or an adult, this was absolutely barbaric. Let me know in the comments, was this barbaric or am I overthinking things? Natalia later described living conditions that would make a Dickens novel look cheerful. She survived on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and ramen noodles. Due to her dwarfism, she couldn't actually reach the kitchen counters properly. The electricity was finally shut off. Neighbours reported she had profound body odour because she couldn't properly care for herself. The Barnetts, meanwhile, they were living it up in Canada, posting happy family photos on social media with their 3 biological sons. No mention of their Ukrainian daughter who was either 9 or 22, depending on which lie you believe. Enter Antoine and Cynthia Mans, a couple who took Natalia in around 2014. They seemed like her salvation, a religious family who formally adopted her in 2023 and gave her stability for nearly a decade. For years, it looked like Natalia had finally found her forever home. The Mans were prominent in their community. Antoine was a bishop and they had experience fostering multiple children. This should have been Natalia's happy ending. Spoiler alert, it absolutely was not. But in December 2023, just months after the formal adoption, Natalia literally escaped from the Mans family during a church service. She texted Cynthia, "Mum, I'm sorry but I left. I'm with the DePauls and I can't handle being cut off from the world like that." What came out next was shocking. Allegations of physical abuse, financial exploitation and controlling behaviour. Multiple witnesses claim they saw Cynthia and Antoine physically abuse Natalia and other children in their care. We're talking about belt whippings, face slapping and severe psychological control. Right, this is the most mental thing ever. In August 2023, Natalia took a DNA test through True Diagnostic to determine her biological age. The results were aired on the Investigation Discovery documentary series and they're absolutely damning for the Barnetts. The DNA test showed Natalia's biological age was approximately 22 years old at the time of testing in 2023. Do the math. That means she was roughly 9 years old when the Barnetts adopted her in 2010 and about 11 when they abandoned her in 2013. Let me repeat that for the people in the back. The Barnetts abandoned an 11-year-old child. Drop an angry emoji if that makes you as furious as it makes me. But wait, there's more evidence. Natalia's childhood dentist, Dr. Timothy Grossweiler, provided x-rays from 2011 showing she still had 12 baby teeth. His professional opinion: she was between 6 and 9 years old at that time. You can't fake dental development, people. An endocrinologist who evaluated Natalia in 2010, information that was passed to the Barnetts, determined her age to be between 9 and 11 years old. The Barnetts knew she was a child, and they abandoned her anyway. In 2019, both Michael and Christine Barnett were charged with neglect of a dependent. Note that specific language, not a neglect of a child, because Natalia's legal age change prevented that charge. This is where the legal system completely failed Natalia, because the Barnetts had successfully changed her legal age to 22. Prosecutors couldn't charge them with child abandonment, even though all the evidence showed she was actually a child. Michael was acquitted in October 2022. The jury brought his story that he generally believed Natalia was an adult. Charges against Christine were dismissed in March 2023. Both of them walked free, despite abandoning what we now know was an 11-year-old disabled child. If this doesn't make you lose faith in the justice system, I don't know what will. These people, they literally got away with child abandonment because they successfully lied to a court about their victim's age. Currently, Natalia lives with Vincent and Nicole DePaul, a family in upstate New York who also have dwarfism. Nicole has the same condition as Natalia, which means she finally has someone who truly understands her physical challenges. The DePauls actually tried to adopt Natalia way back in 2009 before the Barnetts ever entered the picture. Nicole said she always regretted not being able to help Natalia when she was younger, and she wasn't going to let that happen again. For the first time in her life, Natalia is living with people who see her as a person, not a burden or a source of income. She described feeling safe and accepted in ways she never experienced with previous families. Let's address the elephant in the room. The similarities between the case and the 2009 horror film Orphan are absolutely undeniable. Adult with dwarfism poses as child, displays violent behaviour, tries to seduce father figure, threatens family members. But here's the thing, Orphan came out in 2009 and the Barnetts adopted Natalia in 2010. The timing is incredibly suspicious. Did they see the horror movie and decide to use it as a playbook when things got difficult with their special needs daughter? Natalia herself has said she believes the Barnetts watched Orphan and basically stole the plot when they wanted to get rid of her. Given everything we know now, that theory makes a lot more sense than their original claims. Okay, but here's what we know for certain. Natalia Grace was a child when she was adopted by the Barnetts. The DNA evidence, dental records and medical evaluations all confirm this. She was approximately 9 years old when adopted and 11 when abandoned. The Barnetts successfully manipulated the legal system to avoid responsibility for their special needs daughter. They used horror movie tropes to paint a disabled child as a dangerous adult. They abandoned an 11-year-old with severe physical limitations and then lived happily in Canada while she struggled to survive. This case shows how easily vulnerable people can be victimized by systems that should be there to protect them. How adoption agencies, courts, and even law enforcement can fail the people who need them the most. But it also shows resilience. Despite everything she's been through, abandonment, abuse, exploitation, and years of public scrutiny, Natalia Grace is still fighting for the truth. She's finally found a family who sees her worth, and that gives me hope. Subscribe to this channel because stories like this matter. Share this video because Natalia deserves to have her truth heard. And remember, behind every sensational headline is a real person who deserves dignity, respect, and justice. The Barnetts may have escaped legal consequences, but they can't escape the truth, and thanks to DNA evidence and brave documentary filmmakers, the world now knows exactly what kind of people abandon a disabled child and then spend years lying about it. That's the disturbing truth behind the Natalia Grace case, a twisted identity that was manufactured by people who should have protected her, not exploited her. Sometimes the real monsters aren't hiding under the bed, they're the ones tucking you in. Let me know your thoughts about this case in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.